Welcome to the Tim Lauer Podcast, where we talk about all things small business, entrepreneurship, politics, local and national, everything that affects you right here in our area. Today, we got a special guest, Stephanie Cody, the education and training teacher at Foley High School. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Okay, so my family relocated to this area a few weeks shy of me starting kindergarten. So while I'm not born and raised from Foley, Alabama, this is where I grew up. And so I went to Foley schools from kindergarten to 12th grade, graduated in 2003, went to Auburn University and majored in communication. Had zero intentions of becoming an educator. That was never anywhere on my radar. When I moved back to Foley in 2007, at that time, there wasn't a ton of opportunities in my degree field. Okay. So I was kind of floundering a little bit. I reached out to a former teacher of mine that I was really close to. Her name was Miss Julie Champion. She's actually still at the high school, which I think is really cool. And just kind of told her what I was going through. And so she suggested that I substitute. She was like, we're always looking for strong substitute teachers. If you're good at it, we'll keep you busy because there's 100 of us here that, need subs every now and then. So I did. I started substitute teaching, and I would say within a matter of weeks, I knew not only did I want to be a teacher, but I wanted to teach at my alma mater. I wanted to be at Foley High School. And so I started doing some research, and there's a program called, you can actually become a certified teacher through this different pathway, and it's the Alternative Bachelor's Certificate. So the very next year, I was lucky, and I was brought on as an English teacher. So that would have been the 2008-2009 school year. And I did all of the extra coursework that was needed and became a certified teacher. And here it is 19 years later. This year will be my 19th year in the classroom. And I've gone from teaching English for 14 years and transitioned into career tech education. And that's now how I have become the education and training teacher at Foley High School. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for your service. Not everybody's built to be a teacher. Yes. So we definitely appreciate that. A lot of exciting things going on at Foley right now. So let's kind of dive into some of the academics, report cards, grades. Where are we doing? How are we doing in Foley right now? It is a fabulous time to be a Lion. So again, with it being my 19th year on this campus, being that I've gone to all of my education years were at Foley, I feel pretty qualified to talk about the years there. And I actually have, my oldest daughter will be a freshman this year, and I've never felt more confident about my child coming to the same high school that I'm at as I am right now. That's great. Our leadership has really dove in and looked at, where were we struggling? What can we do to fix these gaps that we have, to really get behind our kids? I think that's the faith that I have right now in our leadership. The reason that it's so strong is I know that every decision that they make, they're making that decision on what is best for the kids in the building. That's great. And that doesn't always happen. And so the fact that it is makes me even more confident about my own child becoming a Foley Lion, and just my time there and what I'm doing on that campus as well. So yes, we have really shifted the needle. We, this year, obtained a B on our report card. That's huge. Huge. I mean, it's massive. In my 19 years, I believe this is, one of the first times we've been able to achieve that goal. That's right. And we do have a lot that, we have to do extra with just because of the makeup of our school. Oh, yeah. So we have to work even, I feel like, harder maybe than some of our neighboring schools based on those numbers and the makeup of our campus. But we do that. And I think that's partially also, I feel like it's our faculty. I would put our faculty up against any other faculty in the country. We have so many teachers that truly, it's beyond just wanting to see the growth of our school academically. It is the relationship. We want the best for every kid that's in that building. And I know that there's so many teachers on our campus that are just as passionate as I am to do the best for the kids that are there. That's great. Yeah, you can definitely feel the excitement in the school with everything going on in the momentum. And we're the talk of the county right now as far as our There's growth. A lot of eyes on us, and I think that's really cool. So I'm excited about it. Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the Lion Pride Conference. Okay, so the Lion Pride Conference was really a brainchild that I worked along with. She was a former librarian of ours, Miss Bernadette Wynn. This was right after COVID. We came together. The year before, we had went through a program that was all about character development. And we hear about this a lot in elementary schools. it's hard a lot of times to do character ed at the high school level to make it relevant to the kids without it being cheesy. And so this whole program is designed to find how do you do that for your school. It is not a scripted thing that works for every campus because they know every campus is different. So they give you some ideas, you take that home and you do what's best for your school. And so we did that. We knew a lot of schools in the area or even in the country were doing something called a house system where they take their campus, divide it typically into 4 houses like Harry Potter, and these homes basically compete against each other in different ways.
Okay.
What we knew is our school is big. And if you do 4 teams, well, you're talking about 400 kids on each team. There's no way that they're all going to get to know each other or any of that. So we doubled it and we made it 8.
Okay.
So we have 8 teams on our campus. And we decided instead of making it a house, we really modeled it after there's the SEC. So we're the LPC.
Okay.
So very much like a sports-minded kind of background. Each team is named after a famous city here in Foley. So we have Team Austin, Team Pine, Magnolia, McKenzie. So every team is a street name in Foley. So it all goes back to kind of this is our home. And again, these teams compete against each other in their academics, their attendance, behavior even has a part to play in it. We, at every sporting event, fine art event, if you go to a band concert, if you go to the play, there's a QR code set up and the kids actually scan that QR code and earn points for their team for attending those events. Same thing with sporting events. So it's, really trying to get the kids motivated. Get out of your room, come out, let's be social, let's hang out together and have a good time. We also do fun events that they can earn additional points for. We usually do an ugly sweater contest during Christmas. Ugliest sweater wins extra points for their team. Even going back to school, coming up for these teacher work days, we've discussed a few fun activities that we're going to do for just the teachers to also earn additional points. The last few years, we did a huge chili cook-off for our big local PD day during the winter, and we brought in local judges to actually eat the chili and judge it, but you also got extra points based on just each chili cook-off had a theme, and your team got to kind of design that theme to look how you wanted, and you could earn extra points that way. But this year, we did something called the Gauntlet, and I think it was even better. So literally that day, our teams competed against each other in trivia, Name That Tune, Mario Kart. We had a tug of war. So really just that team building aspect of it and getting out of the classroom and just doing something fun to where you're meeting these additional people that maybe you wouldn't normally get to interact with because we are such a big campus. So yeah, it's just a really fun way for us to bring a competitive edge into the classroom.
Wow.
And it's really cool to look at the data because we're able to monitor that through something called advisory. So every 3 weeks, our homeroom teachers sit down with their students. The students track their grades and attendance for every single period. Not only are they writing that information down, but they're meeting with their homeroom teacher to discuss how they're doing. And that's where a lot of honest conversations can happen. That's where that homeroom teacher can really rally behind that kid. One thing that we do at Foley that I love is our homeroom teachers actually stay with their class from freshman year until the day they graduate.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so they're with them all 4 years. And what's really cool, they actually give them their diploma at graduation. So that relationship becomes way more than just teacher-student. Like that student knows that that teacher truly does want to be able to hand them that diploma at graduation. And so a lot of times that's where they can give them the advice of how to handle certain situations or, hey, maybe the reason you're really struggling in science is because that's first period. And I noticed that you've been checking in a lot. Maybe let's go to 7 Brew a little bit earlier so we can, just those kind of conversations.
Make a big difference.
For sure. And so after the teachers meet with the students, all they do is we have a spreadsheet set up for each teacher with their homeroom students. All the dates are already in there, and they literally just enter that student's current GPA and how many full-day absences that child has. And then again, they do that for every advisory, and that is fed into our big database, which tracks our points for the LPC.
Wow.
So again, that's how they're able to contribute to their team that way too.
Hope you're enjoying the Tim Lauer podcast so far. We talk about all things small business, real estate, politics, local and national issues that affect you most. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to drop a comment below. I read and reply to each and every one. Now let's get back to it. That's awesome. It's amazing how schools have changed since, I went or my kids have went, but it sounds like you guys are doing a great job of making them building relationships with the students,
yes,
getting them more engaged by making education more fun. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. We know, there are students that are there because they have to be, right? Like, because they're not able legally to leave yet. So we want to make that connection of, yes, we know you have to be here, but ultimately we want to know that the day that you do finish here, that you finish with that diploma in your hand so that you can be as successful as possible outside the building. And a 4-year degree afterwards is not the pathway for everyone.
Sure.
And that's why career tech kind of comes in there too. And so it's just really trying to do what we can to meet every kid where they are.
Absolutely. So great segue. Let's talk about the career tech program. One of the best in the county.
Yes.
And kind of rivals Baldwin Preparatory as far as programs available.
Program availability, yes.
So let's talk about that for a little bit.
I am super proud of our career tech department. We are the largest department on our campus. We have so many program offerings, and I'm going to try to tell you all of them, but I will probably miss one or two because we have so many. But our students can take real estate, digital marketing. We have hospitality and tourism, which obviously is huge where we're located. We do sports management. We have sports nutrition. And we even have, our athletic director, Coach Chris, who does all of our athletics really with Coach Sydney. She teaches about that athletic nursing side of things. Wow. An ROTC program, ag. Ag is so big, they actually have 3 different course offerings. Wow. They have construction and welding, they have animal science, and then they have horticulture. So we actually have greenhouses behind the school.
That's awesome.
And our farm is getting ready. Mr. Clem is working hard to, every day I feel like I've heard him ask Miss Webb, can we get a donkey? There's just he's working on it. And he's growing. No, I say growing. We have chickens. He's my neighbor at school. And he'll hatch the chickens and they grow in their little bin in the room. And sometimes I'm like, okay, those are big enough. They got to go outside, bud. Just a plethora of options there to figure out what it is that you want to do for the rest of your life. And one thing that I share, when I graduated in the early 2000s, our only options in that area, from what I can remember, I could be speaking out of term, was either you had ag or home ec. Yeah. And if you were in athletics or band, you didn't have to take either of those classes. It kind of counted as that pathway. Not anymore. The state of Alabama recognizes the importance of kids exploring career fields prior to graduation. Yep. So they are required to take CTE courses to help them do that. And we start them in freshman year. Freshman year, you're going to take at least one CTE class. And the beauty of that is if you take a career tech class, let's say that you take entrepreneurship and you realize this business side of things is not really where I want to be, right? So then the next year you take education and training, which is the course that I cover. Maybe I want to be in the classroom, right? And so it gives you that opportunity to really learn about these different career fields and get the in-field experience to see if it's something that you actually want to do.
Wow. And all those classes you mentioned, they're all very relevant to our area. So it helps keep students, right here.
Of course.
In Baldwin County versus, getting out of school and then moving somewhere else.
Correct. And so specifically with my class too, that's one of the first things that we talk about on the very first day of class, especially with my foundation students, my first year kids. I have a very transparent conversation with them. It is not a secret that there is a national teacher shortage. And so I start with that. I'm like, okay, so why do y'all think that there's a national teacher shortage? And inevitably I get a few answers, but I get 2 consistently. Number one is they don't think we make any money. Okay. They're like, y'all are broke, And then the next thing they typically say is, the kids are bad. That's their next comment. So I'm like, fair enough. I said, well, here's the cool thing. Baldwin County's pay scale is public knowledge. So let's look it up. So I pull up the pay scale online on our Clear Touch in the classroom. And I explain, how many years I've taught. That inevitably gets a few comments because anyways, they like to be like, 19 years, anyways. So I have to kind of take that a little bit. But anyways, we talk about how many years I've taught, and I explain to them that I have a master's degree. And so because I do, that ups my pay scale as well. Okay. And what's really cool is the state of Alabama also recognizes the value of CTE teachers. So they do something called degree equivalent. And so I actually am paid as though I have my specialist degree. So that's a whole nother degree level up. Wow. And so when they actually see the number that's on that that screen, it really does blow their mind.
Wow.
But then I go into, okay, let's go past the number. The other huge benefit of being an educator is I have incredible insurance. You know, if I don't feel good or if my kids don't feel good, we go to the doctor. And believe it or not, that's a luxury for some people.
Yeah, it is.
And so I don't take that for granted. So I talk about being able to give that for my family, their insurance. We talk about retirement. We have great retirement. I can retire after 25 years, and I'll be 47 years old.
Wow.
And so, you know, again, to a high school student, 47 sounds old, but to put that into perspective,
reality,
I tell them, okay, so what is the actual retirement age for most people? 65. So you're talking about almost 20 years before retirement. I can retire. And then I explain to them, you know, I could retire and drive 30 minutes down the road and teach in Pensacola, Florida, pull a salary from Florida and have my retirement coming in too. So we talk about a lot of those aspects too, just to kind of put into perspective, you know, beyond what I make, the options that are opened in that as well. And then I also get into the nitty gritty of the fact that I do love what I do. Not everyone gets to talk about not everybody gets to say, I love my job. And I'm 19 years in and I'm just as excited to start back at school and on August the 3rd as though it were my first year teaching. And not everyone can say that, you know? Yeah. So I want them to find something that they're passionate about. If that's teaching, great. If it's not, that's okay too, because let's figure out what you are passionate about so we can get you into that field, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. How has the courses impacted the local workforce, and how do you think it'll continue to impact the local workforce in the future?
It's really cool. We actually have a career coach on our faculty. Her name is Gina Ivy, and she has made such huge connections between our local businesses and our campus.
That's awesome.
Actually, one of the really cool things that we did at the end of this school year, before the year starts, we as a department sit down and we decide what are 4 critical areas that we want every kid to get any kind of touch, to touch base with the kids on that we feel like it's really important when we're making these connections to the business world. And before we make those decisions, we actually reach out and have them give us some insight too. And so we decided this past year was communication, learning how to not just talk verbally to people, but those nonverbal cues that we cover. We do written communication, emailing, all of those things. We had them build resumes. But then we ended our year with mock interviews. And so we actually brought in 20 different business owners from around the city to do interviews with our kids.
So important.
Yes. And some of them walked away with a summer job. That wasn't the point.
Wow.
The point was really just the experience of being interviewed. And they did actually give them feedback. I need you to work on your eye contact. I need you to, present yourself. You have to understand that, I know we've been raised to believe you don't judge a book by its cover, but the reality is when you are interviewing, that's a part of the interview process.
Yeah, put your best foot forward.
Correct. And so we are making those connections with our business partners in the community and really hearing their feedback too. We ask them, what is y'all's biggest issue that y'all see with this current workforce that's coming in? And, they'll talk about ghosting even. Like we'll have people interested. They'll submit an application, and then when we go to touch base with them, we never hear back from them. Just little things like that. And so we have those kind of conversations that we carry back to the classroom too. For me personally, every year, we have a signing day at the end of the year where just like athletes sign to go to their different colleges, we have students, if you're going to go into the workforce based on our career tech class, if you're going to go to college to study to be a teacher, whatever it is, if it relates back to your career tech course, we do a public signing day. We invite the parents to come. We make a big celebration of it. And so I've had several students that have committed to become educators based on the experience of what they've had in my classroom.
Okay.
The vast majority of those students plan to come back to Baldwin County to teach in this area, want to teach in Foley School specifically.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
Is there, with those career tech areas, are there any students that you've had that maybe seemed like they were lost or on the wrong path, and then they got into the career tech class that they wanted or something, and it just saw a change in them? 100%.
It's probably my favorite part about what I do. I loved teaching English, but the coolest thing is I'm teaching a course now that's really helping kids figure out their future. One of my favorite stories to tell, her name is Callan. She would be completely fine with me sharing this story about her. I met her as a junior. So she came in 11th grade year, and one of the very first things that I have them do as I'm getting to know them is just do a really quick is education even on your radar? Are you really considering this as a future profession? And she was very honest with me. She told me, she said, I am taking your class because my friends rave about you as a teacher. It looks like a lot of fun, but I'm going to be a veterinarian. And I said, no problem. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I hope you get, a lot of stuff out of it. A lot of times they learn those soft skills that we need. Yep. So even if they don't become a teacher, they're still learning the soft skills that we need to be successful. Yep. So I knew that going in. Well, between the summer of her junior and senior year, I got an email from her. And she said, hey, Miss Cody, I'm doing an internship at a local vet office. And the very first day realized I can't do this. She was like, there's a lot of blood involved and all the gross things that come with working on animals. Oh, yeah. And she said, I never realized I have it's a huge turnoff for me. So I can't do this for the rest of my life. She said, I think I want to be an elementary school teacher. Wow. And so I was like, well, that's music to my ears. I said, I'm so excited to have you back senior year because, again, they can take my class all 4 years because every year it builds on itself. So she came back to me this year as a senior. She is going to Auburn University to major in elementary education. The other beautiful thing is we got lots of scholarship money for her because the state recognizes we need teachers. So there's money there. And she is so excited to come back in 4 years as an educator. Wow. Yeah.
What a great story.
Yes, it's very cool.
That's like so many others. You think of a career and you just see the, kittens coming in or the puppies coming in. And don't see
and that's what you're thinking about.
But it's great that you feel that out early before you're kind of in there too far to where you have to pull back.
100%. And then especially I talk about teaching specifically with that. A lot of times the old model with teaching at the college level, a lot of times was those first 2 years you're in the classroom learning the content. Mm-hmm. Usually it wasn't until your junior year that you did your first student teaching experience. Well, what if in that junior year of your college years, it's the first time in the classroom and that's the first time that you decide, I don't know that I like this. Yeah. Well, a lot of times, guess what? It's too late because if I change my major now, I've lost all this money and time. And so that is part of where our passion for Career Tech comes in is let's let these students figure this out much younger and quicker.
That's right.
So that they know in advance.
And I know too many people who went to a 4-year college, got a degree, and then end up in a field that has nothing to do with what they've.
Correct. Now, I tell people all the time that my degree has benefited me because I don't fear public speaking. This kind of opportunity arises and I'm able to do it without the apprehension that maybe a lot of people feel.
That's right.
But ultimately, could I have spent so much less money? Absolutely. I had to go back to school and do additional coursework to become a teacher if I had just known from the start. So you're absolutely right.
That's right. That's right. So the entrepreneurship one kind of, I'm curious about that. When I was a student or a kid, there was nothing like that available. Right. It was almost like they were training you to go work for somebody else. But now teaching people skills to run their own business
100%.
Or to get out there is huge. So can you talk on that program a little bit?
I can do as much as I can.
Sure,
I'm not the expert on that
Gotcha.
one. We have some incredible teachers who cover that course. Virginia Hudgens, Rachel Parker. And I know that they would love to come speak with you more in depth on this.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
But we actually have a program called EPIC. Have you ever heard of EPIC?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
I was actually on the board that helped found EPIC.
Oh, see, I love that. So it's huge. And we are really doing our best to really make sure our kids know about that program better moving forward.
Sure,
and I think with a course like entrepreneurship, it goes hand in hand.
Definitely.
The whole premise, again, is for kids to really learn the skills that it takes to make this happen. It's not just having an idea. It is the marketing. It is the background work that it takes to build and knowing that you're not going to see a profit for a little bit. So you've got to understand, do I have everything I need to make this successful? There's so much that goes into it, but yes.
It's very, it's great to see kids get out there and get trained on that kind of stuff. Everybody looks at, opening a business and just the unknown part of it is a big part. So taking them through that is just huge. And I'd encourage any students, especially entrepreneur program, but even any of this career tech, look at that EPIC program because it can definitely move you forward.
100%. Yep. Right. We've seen lots of students have great success through that EPIC program. So it's very cool with what it's doing.
Absolutely. Awesome. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about AI and how it's kind of impacted schools, the classroom and everything. And you've been there long enough to see before AI, the implementation of AI, and now probably, who knows where the ending is, but
correct
where we're at right now. So how has it changed you as a teacher, how you do things?
Honestly, I don't know that it's changed a whole lot, for me personally.
Sure.
I've always been a pretty digital person. I'm pretty tech savvy. I don't fear AI, I feel like, as many teachers might. To be honest with you, I think there's ways that you can use AI with your students that doesn't impede their learning. If anything, because when I taught English, I taught mostly students who struggled academically. In fact, I taught mostly repeaters. So these are kids who have already failed the course once. Here they are again, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times what I would find is their biggest hurdle was getting started. If I asked them to write an essay based on what we read, I knew they knew the story. They could tell me about it. But to actually get those first 3 sentences on paper was that once they had that,
the rest
it was all there, right? So it's knowing that you can explain to students it's okay to have an assistant. It is not okay to let that assistant do the work for you.
Okay, gotcha.
And so also making sure that they understand that we're not totally clueless, right? Like it's very obvious when something is turned in that was created through AI.
Yeah.
I mean, what I think
is,
is
dashes, or it's got the certain tells. Yep.
Well, and it's just like, I feel like even on social media, I've seen several posts recently of people calling out different businesses for using kind of the same AI flyer model because they all end up looking the same.
Sure.
It's very telling, right? And so I think it's just understanding that balance. And we want the kids to understand that balance.
That's right.
I want them to know that it is a tool.
Yeah.
But I will also tell you that a lot of teachers, and I'm one of them, have also taken a step back from technology in general.
Oh, yeah.
It is a great tool, and we use it a good bit. But when it comes to learning content, it was actually my students are the ones that requested me to go a little bit more old school. For example, we were taking notes one day, and I had a guided note packet that went with my notes, and I uploaded it to Google Classroom. It was an editable Google Doc for each kid. And so I said, okay, open Google Classroom, open that doc on your computer. You're going to fill in the information as we go through. I had one student raise her hand and she said, can you print this for me? I'd rather write it on paper. Okay. And I said, absolutely. I said, is there anyone else who would like this printed? And I'm not exaggerating. The whole class was, please me. I would much rather. And the fact is, science has shown that writing information retains 10 times better than typing it.
Yeah.
So that day forward, I quit uploading the guided notes to Google Classroom. I print out those guided notes, make copies for every kid, and they have a paper copy of the notes as we walk through it. So we've all kind of started I know our English department, they've gone back to blue books. Do you know what blue books are? Okay, so blue books are where your professor in college would hand you a blue book, or you usually had to bring your own. They would give you the topic and you just wrote.
Okay.
And so they're going back to that old model of you're not going to have this resource that's going to catch every time you misspell a word or that you're not using punctuation correctly. Again, a great tool, but you also need to be able to do that for yourself too. Yep. So yes, I think we are all kind of we're using it when needed, but we're also realizing that it's okay to do some of these old school models too, because they work.
Yeah. And that's the thing with technology is sometimes it advances so much that you do got to take that step back and realize, hey, this is what actually works.
Correct.
So that's great to hear.
Yes.
Let me ask you about cursive. Do you guys still teach cursive? Because I've had some kids come out of school and like you're in real estate, you guys sign documents.
Right.
And they don't have a signature.
Correct. Okay, so it's really funny that you asked me this. My oldest, I don't want to put her on blast. They did not teach cursive for her. My youngest has had some exposure to it. Okay. So I don't feel like it's as in depth. That's probably like what we were taught. Because I can remember in third grade, I mean, I feel like we probably had to turn in things that had to be written in cursive. I know that I came out knowing how to write in cursive.
Copy and everything.
Probably wasn't very pretty, but I had to be, and I still can. And you're not wrong. It's funny, even now when we do field trip forms or anything that involves a student signature, you can tell when I ask the kids, okay, like, hey, I need you to make sure you sign this. They'll look at me and like they start sweating. And I'm like, you can just write your name. Like that'll work,
Yeah.
So
that's the new cursive.
I think it's coming back. I think we recognize that we've got to fill that void. But I do know that we've missed it.
Well, even as you look at like the entrepreneurship class, they need to
maybe
learn how to write checks or something like that.
Oh, for sure. Now that is covered.
Checks,
yes.
So,
yeah, we definitely talk about writing a check. I don't But yeah, I guess that part, we could probably revisit some of that for sure.
Okay.
Not a bad idea.
What else do we need to talk about? What have we missed?
Oh, can I brag on my kids a little bit about going to nationals?
Absolutely.
Okay. So part of my education and training program, we're affiliated with a group called Educators Rising. And this is a nationally recognized career tech service organization that the whole premise of this program is for students that are focused and planning to become educators. And the really cool thing about it is that you can compete in different areas. And so this past year, I took several groups to Auburn University and we competed in several different areas. And I had I had 3 groups placed at the state level in 2 different areas.
Wow, nice
job.
So
yes, I was very proud of them. The first group was Gigi Perez and Charlene Saldana. They wrote a children's literature book on the pre-K level completely in Spanish. Wow. It was a beautiful story. It was a beautiful book. I was super proud of them. They placed at the state level,
really
which
cool.
advanced them to nationals. And then I had 2 different groups that competed in that's called interactive bulletin boards. And it's where they have to create a bulletin board that young elementary age students can actually manipulate and learn a concept from. And so Oliver Pekarik and Messiah Jones did a bulletin board on the water cycle. And then Sarah Branscombe and Kennedy Collins made a bulletin board about the alphabet, learning the alphabet.
Wow.
And so we took all of these competition pieces to the national level, which was in Portland, Oregon this summer. So we took a big trip out to Portland. And they competed on the national stage, and 2 of the 3 groups advanced and placed at the national level. So
that's huge.
Yes, Charlene and Gigi placed 9th in the nation for their book, and then Sarah and Kennedy got a red ribbon for their interactive bulletin board, which is essentially 2nd place at the national level.
That's
so
awesome.
Very
Congratulations.
proud of those girls. Yes,
Congratulations to you and all the students.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes.
If there's local businesses that want to connect with the career tech or employers, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best thing that they can possibly do is really they can reach out to me. They can reach out to Rachel Parker, Miss Webb, always. Miss Webb is such a huge supporter of our career tech department. So she would absolutely forward that information to the right people, especially based on whoever the business is. If it's a real estate agent, she's going to get them to Rachel. You know what I'm saying? Like she knows where to send them to, essentially.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your service as a
Thank you.
teacher. Thank you for all the great information that you brought today. And, I hope it sheds some light on all the great things that are happening at Foley High School. We're proud of our Lions there.
Yes, I am too.
Looking forward to another great
school year. It's going to be wonderful. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.